Tonight, what are the evidences to prove that rebirth is true? Because many people cannot satisfy with religious books. They say people can write anything in their holy books and introduce either as divine message or taught by different religious teachers few thousand years ago. But how do we know? How can we prove? So most of them are belief and mythologies, theories, if not certain views expressed by learned people or religious people. The Buddha's advice support us for this argument. He has given us this warning or advice not to accept anything just because that you can find these ideas in your holy books, or not to believe anything. This information was given by a well-known religious teacher. If not, the majority here in this world believe this. He said, forget about all these things. You also can think according to your understanding capacity. You can understand certain things. Therefore, your experience is more important than the theories and belief. Now, this is the Buddha's advice. Now, I have already explained on many occasions how rebirth takes place, whether it is true or not. Even then, let us start from the beginning, since there are few newcomers. When we consider about our life, we do not know actually we are dreaming. We have not learned the reality or the facts of life. There are so many illusions or some hallucinations, some concept and belief and imaginations in our mind. So we depend on those imaginary concepts we have created in the mind without analyzing or studying. Buddhism never supports that attitude. Buddhism always advises us to study and think and try to understand. Some people do not believe that there will be another existence or another life hereafter. That means after our death. They say there are no evidence. But their argument is not correct. Today, there are many people who are not belong to any of those existing religions. Christians and Muslims say there is only one life, which is created by the God. And there is no such thing as rebirth or existence again, either as human beings or animals or any other forms. But they also believe that death is not the end of our life. Therefore, they say there are two places, either heaven or hell. Then Hindus, Buddhists, and Jaina, three religions originated in India, very strongly believe beside heaven and hell, they do admit heaven and hell exist. But they say not only heaven and hell, there are many other planes of existence where there are living beings in different forms. So rebirth can take place in one of those places according to our way of life. So our way of life here in this world is responsible or conditioned for the next existence. If it is a miserable one, we introduce this as hell or ghost world or animal kingdom also. If it is a pleasant and peaceful life, we introduce this as heaven, human life, or Brahma world, or any other forms of existence where people experience a lesser degree of suffering. So the difference between heaven and hell is when we experience more suffering, physically and mentally, when life becomes very miserable, we can regard such places as hell. Therefore, hell is not a ready-made or created or located in one particular area in this universe. Then, what is heaven? Within this lifetime also we can experience heavenly bliss. So it does not mean the heaven exists only in this world. There are many who say heaven and hell both exist only in this world. They are wrong. Miserable and pleasurable or peaceful life exists in many parts of the universe. So the Buddha has categorized and pointed out that there are 31 altogether. These 31 again he has summarized into three world system: Kamaloka, Rupaloka, Arupaloka. Kamaloka means sensual world, and we are here in this sensual world. Animals, human beings, and devas. All those who experience sensual pleasure through their senses and the mind exist in Kamaloka, sensual world. Because of this pleasure, they had to experience more problems and troubles and worries. Now you can understand why people fight and disturb because of this pleasure. Why animals fight, attack because of this pleasure. That means craving. Now the religion is important for us to understand this situation and not to surrender ourselves to this sensual pleasure, because this is momentary or temporary experience, not everlasting. Then the next world, Rupaloka, fine material world. Many others have no idea. Many of those Brahma realm, Brahma world, all those Brahmas who exist in this particular area experience more peace and contentment, some sort of satisfaction in their life, although they have lesser degree of craving and illusions and misunderstanding. But they are far superior or better than human beings and devas. That means they have few problems to face. But we have so many problems to worry almost every day. Then there is another realm which is called Arupaloka, immaterial world. Very difficult for us to understand because there we cannot see visible physical bodies, but invisible physical bodies exist. There are few Brahma worlds where those Brahmas exist without maintaining or experiencing burdens of a physical body, but the life exists. At the same time, there are some other living beings who are regarded as unfortunate ones. They are a spirit, ghost, and some other living being. Invisible to our naked eyes, they do exist. This is the way how the Buddha has summarized those 31 planes of existence into 3 groups. So, rebirth can take place in any of those places. It depends on our mental attitudes and how we used our human life. Whether we abuse or misused or appreciated this human life. How to violate, how to abuse. By neglecting all our humane qualities, virtues, knowledge and wisdom, we become slaves to our craving, selfishness, and pollute the purity of the mind. That is the way how we abuse our human life. Then, how can we appreciate this human life? By knowing the real human values, knowing that we have human intelligence which we cannot find in other living beings. By knowing that we have potentials, abilities to cultivate our way of life, then lead a respectable, noble, and peaceful life. This is the difference. So the next existence take place, whether we believe or not. Please remember, belief is not important here, because it is natural. Whether you believe or not, existence take place again, because there are ingredients in your mind which contribute to condition to create another existence. So belief or imagination. Then our knowledge and understanding of the Dhamma and realization of the nature of human life promote us, support us to be born in a better position or condition where we can avoid so many problems and sufferings and worries. That means we know how to mold our next life. But many others are in the dark, just like animals. They do not know anything about the next existence. So they cannot mold their next life. It does not mean that is the end of their life. Still they have their good and bad karmas which were dormant, hidden in the subconscious mind. Rebirth again take place. So now you can understand, belief is not the important thing. Understanding. Then, whatever we do by thinking, that means intentionally. If the action is good, that action becomes a good karma. If the action is bad, it will become bad karma. That is natural. Not created by any religion. Religion cannot create all these things. But religion can point out, explain how these things work. That is why the Buddhism says the Buddha or God cannot change the karma. Karma is natural. Usually people go and pray and worship thinking that God can change it. The Buddha can change it. But the Buddha says it is impossible to change. That is why It is necessary for us to learn these things earlier. Otherwise, after committing all sorts of evil and cruel and wicked things, in the end, we can go and pray, asking the Buddha or God to forgive and wash away all your sins or bad karma. It doesn't work. So you are responsible for that. So the main subject tonight is what are the evidences. And before that, I think better to speak few words to tell you how rebirth can take place. We believe, but we do not know. Maintain as a belief. That is not enough. In our belief, there may be so many misunderstanding, wrong concept. That is why it is important for us to learn. Just now I told you, during our lifetime, up to the last breath, we are going on collecting or accumulating good and bad karmas. No one can stop this. And who creates all these good and bad karmas? Our mind. If there is no mind, we cannot create any good or bad karma. So the mind is responsible for that. Then, definitely we had to face death. Whether we like or not, we have to face it. It is natural. Now we are scared of it. That is called ignorance. Real ignorance. If you are scared of death, you are ignorant. Why? You do not know the nature of death. And you do not know what will happen to you after your death. That is why you are scared. But those who can understand this never maintain that. They are not scared of death. To them, death is just like changing something, changing houses, shifting from one house to another house, changing your dress or clothing. They take this so easily. They never worry about this. But in our case, there is another thing. Why we don't like to die? Here, there are many things that which we crave. Therefore, we don't like to depart, go away from our families, then our husband, wife, children, property, money, jewelry, houses, lands, title. When you consider all these things, then you think how to die. There are so many things. How to go away from all these things. That is how we create fear of death. But those who have renounced all these things never create that fear, because there is nothing for them to depart. They have given up earlier, voluntarily. This is the advantage of renunciation. Since we have developed our attachment, craving towards so many things, we don't like to die. That is how we take death as a miserable thing. Otherwise, death is not miserable and very easy to die. You think it is very difficult. Within 1 second we can die. See how easy? For our survival we have to struggle day and night. That means every minute we are trying to escape from death. This is called survival. We work and eat and sleep and we do everything to escape from death. But in the end, who will win the battle? One day we have to surrender. By knowing this situation, the Buddha has given an advice. He said, every day you must contemplate. That means you must think that one day I have to die. Every day you must think. When you go on thinking like this, the mind gets used to it. Then the fear of death automatically disappears. That is a meditation. Every living being which exists in any part of the universe must face this death. It is natural. And same thing will happen to me also. Then reduce the fear. Then one day, when we come to know that death is nearer to us, then we can avoid that fear. Then we can face that death peacefully without tension or fear. Then we can have a peaceful death. Because many people die with tension and confusion in their mind. Then they miss certain good karma that they have accumulated because of this confusion in the mind. If we can concentrate earlier, we can avoid this confusion and worries and tension at that moment. I have seen many people who have faced very peaceful death. So one of the good effect or the result of meditation, especially meditation on loving kindness, the Buddha has mentioned, asammulho kalang karoti. So if we develop this meditation, we can face death without creating any confusion in the mind. It is important because at the last moment, when we are going to die, all the good and bad karmas that we have accumulated started to function, projects from the subconscious mind. When there is confusion in the mind, very difficult to catch a clear picture of our own karma. Then the rebirth also very uncertain. What sort of rebirth? If the mind is clear at that time, then the karma also get more support to condition the next line. It is like this. Now this glass of water, if this is a crystal clear water, we can see the bottom also. Now if this is a muddy water glass, we cannot see what is inside there. Clouded. When the mind is confused and deluded, the karmic forces which project from the subconscious mind also mix up with dirt and difficult to catch a clear picture of our own karma. This is psychology. So, there are 5 mental forces which support us to condition our next life. Naturally, people believe that the God come and take away something from here. If not devils or ghosts come and take away something. These are all imaginations. Not knowing actually what happened. Here, this is the way how Buddha has advised. Avidya, Trishna, Karma, Upadana, Bhava. These are the 5 factors which condition our next life. So among those 5, you cannot find either God or the Buddha or devil. Only these 5 mental factors. First one is avidya. The ignorance that we maintained and developed in our mind support to breed, to develop all the other mental forces. Now, our knowledge is important to reduce that ignorance from the mind. Then the second one, so ignorance is a mental force. Second one is Trishna. Our craving, our desire, selfishness, attachment. Only one thing, that is craving. Because of this craving, we exist in this world. If there is no craving, we do not exist here in this form. There is nobody in this world who can say that he or she has no craving. So the craving is the second mental force. Then the third one is karma. Just now I told you, good and bad karmas through our minds we create karmas. Words create karmas, good and bad both. Action create karmas. So we are going on collecting all these things throughout our life, both. Now the karmic energy has become a very dynamic force in our mind. Now three energies are working together: ignorance and craving and karma. And because of this craving, that mind create another mental force, that is attachment's inclination towards something. Incline. Now this is very important here. The next existence takes place according to that inclination. But behind, the karmic force is there. Then avidya, trishna, karma, upadana, bhava. Bhava means the karma formation. That means, now among those five factors, karmic force becomes the most dynamic force. Others support. Then the formation, shape, the situation, condition take place according to that karmic force. These are the five. So when this mental energy or the consciousness with these ingredients in the mind transmitted from here, that mental energy again absorbed into external elements and energies and so many other things. Then settle down. Then the nucleus of another life already originated. Whether it is humans or animals or devas or brahmas or spirit or ghost, nobody knows. It depends on what sort of karmic energies directed, diverted this departed consciousness to settle down. So at that time, it is impossible for anyone to change this by praying or worshipping and asking to take to heaven or nirvana. It doesn't work. All these things are natural occurrences. Now see the way, scientifically, psychologically, very rational way, how the Buddha has explained this. This is the way how rebirth takes place. Now my duty is to give evidence. Forget about the Buddha's teaching. Without Buddhism or Hinduism or any other religion, we have more than enough reasons or evidences to believe, to accept that rebirth is true. Now let us consider. Western scholars and psychologists have collected more than 4,000 cases from many parts of the world. Many of them are not Buddhist. And they have studied and investigated more than 4,000 cases where people remembered their previous birth, where they were. After their observance, a study, the informations given by them, the names and places and incidents about the previous birth, they found out it's very accurate. No one can deny. That is why, without depending on any religion, now people started to realize that rebirth is true. But there is an age limit for people to remember this. Mostly children at the age between 6 and 12. After that they forget. That the memory that they maintain slowly fade away. That means eclipse. Later they cannot remember. I have no time to explain one by one. There are hundreds of books written by scholars. All these are stories. They are not made up stories. No one can deny that they are telling lies. I told you recently a small boy, 6 years old, started to chant very long sutras in the Pali language. But he has not started to learn even ABCD. Without making any mistake, he goes on reciting all the Pali verses. Then found out, or he revealed, that he was a Buddhist scholar, monk, who has mastered this language, Pali language. And that memory still remains there. And some of them have recorded this chanting. 6 years old child. Recite without making any mistake. You know, when you recite with your book, how many mistakes you make. But this child just close his eyes and go on reciting and reciting. Then he said, I was so and so, so and so. Then another small girl, 7 years old, suddenly mentioned to her own father and mother that I want to go and see my parents. Then they asked, what rubbish are you talking? We are your father and mother. No. My father and mother are staying there. 30 miles far away from that place. I want to go and see them. When this news spread, many scholars and lecturers and professors wanted to go and study this case. Then they carried this girl, and according to her indication, they could manage to find out this house. She said, my house is a small house, atap house. It is in a tea estate, and there is a railway line, and above this railway line you can see a small house. That is my house. So they reached, and they saw an old couple there. He said, this is my mother, this is my father. Then this is my elder sister, this is my younger sister.
Oh, I see. You are very weak at maths. And according to...
Then the headmaster of the school also close by, when he heard this incident, he also came in running. And she said, this is my teacher who taught me when I was studying in the school. And the most interesting part of this story is this. Younger brother, when her younger brother came to see her, she refused to talk. She did not want to look at his face. But she was very friendly and cheerful. This is the younger brother. But these two fight almost every day. Never agree with each other. And that grudge or the enmity still works in her mind. Remember, how we maintain our mental forces, polluted and purified mental energy as our habits. So when we develop enmity towards somebody, even in the next life also, if we happen to meet that person, still they are loggerheaded, cannot agree with each other. This is natural. This is the way how the mental energies work. And an American psychologist, Ivan Stevenson, purposely he visited to study this case and returned a book. And he says this is the most genuine case that he has studied among few thousands. Now the trouble is, we always ask why we cannot remember our previous birth. Why only few people suddenly remember this? The reason is, just now I told you, if confusion, worries, miseries, disturbances take place in our minds when we are going to die, it is very difficult for us to maintain such memories. On the other hand, if death takes place at old age, say about 80, 90 or 100, difficult to maintain this memory, because so far they have not met even one case who remembered this previous birth, who died at the maximum age limit. Most of them were very, very young, below 30. And this boy died when he was 13 years old. Again, sudden death, accident. At that time, excitement, confusion, and all sort of things completely pollute the mind, and difficult to maintain such memories. Again, those who suffer from certain sicknesses for a long period, worrying and suffering, and they also cannot maintain this memory. If the mind is polluted either with anger, jealousy, grudge, or certain other evil forces at the dying moment, very difficult to maintain this memory. There are so many reasons. Otherwise, all of us, if there is anybody who can penetrate into our subconscious mind, then can dig out everything. But our normal mind at this moment is not strong enough to penetrate, to recall, to remember our previous birth. That is also very meaningful. That is the reason why we cannot remember. Then another evidence, no one can deny this. Without depending on any religion or God, especially in the West, many people practice and developed hypnotism. When they hypnotize a person, what they do, they go on reducing the development of this mind up to the infancy stage. At that stage, this person may be about 50 to 60 years old man, talk just like a small baby, small child, because the development of the mental faculties going on suppressing, that is hypnotism. Then shift to the next life, previous birth. Get all the information which were recorded in the subconscious mind and reveal everything. After that, when that person becomes normal, he cannot believe that he has said such things. Because these are not in the normal mind, only in the subconscious mind. The book written by a lady, Gina Saraminara, is she an American or I cannot remember. The title of the book is Many Mentions. She has given a lot of evidence, very solid evidence, to prove that rebirth is true. And one of the incidents that he has studied, a blind man by birth. So when they hypnotize this person, then he revealed why he is blind. During his previous birth, he has blinded many of his enemies, maybe a soldier or somebody. This is
the bad karmic effect that he is experiencing. He himself revealed this. And certain marks, black mark here or somewhere, when they hypnotize this person, then they say, I had a fight with so and so, and he cut my hand, my face, and that anger, jealousy, grudge and all the evil forces that he has developed in the mind because of this injury. And when rebirth takes place, again certain indication. There are many cases. There are some people who are scared of water. They have studied certain cases and found out, when hypnotized them, death has taken place, the previous birth, due to the water. Fell down into the water and died. So that fear that person developed before his or her death are still maintained, scared of water. And many people don't like to see blood, scared. And some people faint. Oh, we don't like to see blood. That really indicates something has happened during the previous birth, or death has taken place due to bloodshed, scared of blood. So there are hundreds of evidence to prove hypnotism. Of course, medical science is not ready to give the green light for those people to cure many sicknesses. They can cure so many sicknesses through hypnotism because mind creates nearly 95% of our sicknesses. We do not know. Every time when we develop certain worries and excitement and tension and fear and jealousy and hatred and grudge and evil forces in the mind, affect the glands and organs and blood circulation, brain cells, and damages slowly take place. Mind creates all these sicknesses. So when they hypnotize this person, not only that, imagination such as charm, black magics, devils, ghosts, and enemies have done something, this kind of imagination is very difficult for us to take out from the mind. But when they hypnotize such people, completely take out that concept, that belief from the mind through hypnotism, then the sicknesses also disappear, especially skin diseases. So all these things are related to our previous birth. Then all of us have certain habits, not given by anybody, our parents, or not given by God or anybody. Our own intrinsic. We choose our color. You say, I like this color, but I don't like the other. I like only this food, but not others. I like this type of dress, but not that. Then, certain other habits, fishing, hunting, although they have more than enough things, they take these things as their hobbies Then many other things that we use as our habits are related to our previous birth. And whatever we develop within this lifetime, again we continue in the next life. That is why we can see the differences amongst our family members. Say about 10 children from the same father and same mother, same education, same food, but you can see differences. What sort of mentality, attitude, character, moods, temperaments they maintain. You cannot find two, they are equal. Then who differentiated? Who discriminated? Who created these differences? One is very cruel or criminal-minded, very fierce. Another one is very kind or religious-minded, very cultured. Then how these differences take place? Father and mother have not given these things to them. If not, parents have entirely different characters and children carry different attitude. Parents are religious-minded, children are criminal-minded. If not, parents are very wicked and bad, uncultured, but children are very good, very understanding. And how these differences take place? That is how science also cannot give the correct answer. What they say as genes and molecules and heredity cannot give the correct answer. This is called our karmic habits, previous birth. Then, just now I told you we can forget all the existing religion. If you can use our mind and observe unbiasedly to understand how these differences take place. Today, there are nearly 5,000 millions human beings on this earth, coming to 5,000 millions. Can you find out two human beings who maintain same mentality or equal? Impossible. Each and every person maintain a different way of thinking. Then who created these differences? And today we are fighting, killing, doing all these dirty, wicked things because of these differences. This is more than enough for us to understand. I am responsible for my life. I mold my own life. Another person cannot mold it. So good and bad effect or the result also I experience according to my own action. Another person is not responsible for that. That is what Buddhism says. Then many of those scholars mostly psychologists. They are very keen to know about this rebirth without depending on religion. They have realized, according to their observation, collected more than enough evidence today, mostly parapsychologists, who studied the subconscious mind. So when you refer to well-known psychologists like Carl Jung, a Swiss psychologist, and Sigmund Freud also mentioned, but Sigmund Freud concentrated more on child psychology. But Carl Jung has gone beyond that. And he is the one who mentioned that we have our own collective consciousness. Formerly they never knew, because their knowledge about the mind is very poor. Collective consciousness means these mental tendencies or the mental habits that we carry forward life after life. That is what the Buddha mentioned as our own sankhara. Sankhara condition all pleasant, unpleasant, and good and bad habits for us to maintain this life and for our survival. Without using this word sankhara, they use the word collective consciousness. So every minute we are collecting some sort of mental habits. Five mental faculties, just like five departments of a factory, always going on producing. Then deposit in the subconscious mind. They never disappear. Remember, when you develop your anger or your kindness, your jealousy or your sympathetic feeling, your craving or selfishness or generosity or charity, there are 52 altogether. All these five mental faculties produce these things. Every second, one of these things. This is the nature of the mind. That is what the psychologists also say. There is something which is called collective consciousness. So when we develop enmity towards somebody, or he is my enemy, you go on developing, creating, maintaining this throughout your life. But you do not know how much bad karmas you have accumulated. Hatred, jealousy, anger, ill will, all the evil forces are there. Mental pollution, everything deposits. On the other hand, we develop our kindness towards others without cruelty and anger. We develop sympathy towards others. This is called good karma, also mental energy deposit in the subconscious mind. So all these good and bad mental energies mix up. At the dying moment, everything starts to project. Then rebirth takes place according to one of these, not all. Then after that existence, many of other karmas, good and bad karmas, come to support and to attack both. So we are experiencing almost every day good and bad effect of certain good and bad karmas we have accumulated during our previous birth and early part of our life. Good and bad karmas we have done within this lifetime, also we are experiencing within this life. Now this is the nature. So I think these few evidences are enough for you to understand that it is not a mere belief or imagination. It is natural. So our duty is to learn, to understand, to mold our life, not to become an unfortunate one. Thank you.